Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for March 1st, 2016. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, with your analysis for the session. Looking at the ES here in the daily time frame, we saw how prices were rejected above 1950 in the previous session. Subsequently, price dropped downward toward the 1920s. I mentioned that 1921 was going to be the last-ditch effort here for bulls to defend in overnight trading, and you can see price came right into 1921s and have rallied 25 plus handles to current levels. However, there is a short-term trend here with lower highs and lower lows day over day right now after prices have been initially rejected above 1950. This is something that we've seen for a couple of months now where prices haven't really been able to get above that zone and instead have held between 1811 and 1950 cents. So this is important here. If prices cannot get above 1950 here, this could be a selling opportunity for another attempt at breaking through 1921 and taking this thing off or downward back toward the previous week's low of 1886. Acceptance above 1950 half would open the door to testing the primary bull target for the week, which is now 1983 after shifting down from 1990. So right now we're kind of watching to see how this plays out. Overall, we've seen kind of a range here over the last few days where we're seeing a lot of chop. It's getting a little volatile in this area, so you have to be careful if you don't see a trade you like. Looking at the intraday time frame, here's the 1921 key level that we talked about. We talked about the 5-day LVN that's right there. At 1921, very, very clear in the profile, a clear LVN right here. And you can see it going all the way back. This is the HVN from the higher time frame and the LVN from the lower time frame, and you can see how prices have played away from that level, how it's been important, and now testing it perfectly for a nice bounce. However, again, you're seeing a short-term downtrend here with lower highs, lower lows, and any failure to get above 1950 could open up a retest back at 1921 with a shot at seeing a break through that level. So right now, bulls are defending 1921s. For a shot at seeing the push higher. Failure to hold that level opens up a return back toward 1890. All right, let's take a look now at crude oil. Here's crude oil in the daily time frame. This one here, obviously chopping around composite VPOC right now. Here's a very clear balanced profile. 32.92 is composite VPOC. Its price has basically traded back and forth within this range. Additionally, prices are kind of coiling at the moment and really tightly wound up within that zone. There's a lot of energy being built up in this area, but it's clear right now bears are defending 34.63, bulls defending kind of this LVN here around 30.50s. So there's really not a whole lot of edge to crude oil right now. We have to get outside these boundaries for us to see expansion, and once we do, it could be very significant. But until then, it could be a lot of fake whipsaws back and forth. Here's the composite profile, and you can see 34.60 is the top of value, 34.20 is the bottom of value. So anything between 34.60 and 35.25 right now could be an area where you see a rejection back downward toward 30.20 with a scaling point at 32.92. Above, any acceptance above the 35.25 here where the rejection is, could start to spark some acceptance beyond that zone and some further expansion. But right now, as I mentioned, not a whole lot of edge, a lot of back and forth, as you would expect around this HVN. So be careful again. Now, taking a look at the intraday time frame, what we can see in the intraday is, again, 32.46, that LVN on the intraday profile. That's the 5-day profile, very important. So this LVN right here, 32.46, has been a key level for us. And you can see how prices have been offered off that zone. Then when they went bid through it, they were defended. So this is support right now. Bulls want to keep this area bid for rotations higher. But again, anything above 34.60s here have been offered as well. So any push beyond this area, if there's a rejection of those prices, we could see move right back down. Remember, crude oil kind of building out within that composite, around that composite VPOC, and we could see more of that before true expansion occurs. Now, if we take a look at gold futures, gold here has been trading within this range as well. So again, another kind of pit stop here where we've seen a significant rally, and now we're just holding within this range, developing the range. We knew that this range had a high expectancy to form as soon as we saw this first green bar. As soon as we saw that big day up and put in that high, I mentioned that we could see a bounce back. Once we do, we'll set the range here, and that's where you might see some distribution occur or a reaccumulation phase, one of the two. We don't know which one it is right now. We just know that there's a range forming. You got to be careful to watch the edges of the range. Typically speaking, you want to fade the edges back down, and down here you want to fade the edges back up until you see expansion. Once you see expansion out of this range, we could be looking at a significant move in the direction of the break to the tune of about 70 handles. So that could be very, very significant. But until then, you're looking to fade the edges of the range at the rejection areas. 1254s is one of those zones that could lead you right back to composite VPOC at 1225, followed by a rotation back downward. We are seeing some higher lows here and some minor lower highs, and that could lead to kind of a squeeze event at some point. So keep an eye on that range. Looking at the NQ, here's the NQ in a daily time frame. This one's been very important, but failed to get above the previous month's close price, which is right here. And that led to a pullback. It pulled right into the 4190 zone of support there, and then from there, that new low here was rejected, and we saw a push back up. But if you're looking at this very similar to the ES, lower highs day over day so far, lower lows day over day so far. So there is some potential rejection that we are seeing at these levels that could lead to a return back to 4085. Right now, trying to hold that 4190 support level. Failure to hold that level opens up a path into 4096 to 4085. Holding above this zone starts to target 4309 with a shot at seeing 4347. So again, kind of in this range here as prices are trying to get everybody into the market before running the stops one way or the other. Now looking at the intraday time frame for the NQ, here's the 4190 zone that we talked about overnight. 4180, 4190 zone right there. You can see the minor LVN here and downward into 4174. That's the zone of support we were talking about in overnight trading where bulls wanted to defend, and there it is, boom, and bounced right back to 5-day VPOC, which is 4239. Now again, we have kind of a little pattern here of lower highs and lower lows, and so any push beyond 4260 could challenge the previous week's high at 4293 with a shot at seeing further strength ahead. But right now, if there's any rejection of value, that could be a quick indication that we're headed back to 4180. And if this area doesn't hold its support, there's a clear path to seeing a move all the way back toward 4090. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.